And for more on the fight against ISIL, military analyst and retired Army Major Mike Lyons joins us now from New York City. He's a senior fellow with the Truman National Security Project, a leadership institute on national security. Mr. Lyons, thanks for joining us again.
Thanks, Susan.
The first U.S. military death has now been announced in the fight against ISIL. His name was Corporal Jordan Spears. He was just 21 years old. We know he was a U.S. Marine who ejected from a troop transporter in the Persian Gulf on Wednesday. Do we know anything more about his death?
No, we don't. We do know that CENTCOM has declared him, though missing, have not found his body, but for all practical purposes, they've declared him as missing and presumed dead. The question is, what will his death be categorized? Will it be killed in action? They're obviously in support of the mission against ISIL inside of Iraq. It's a terrible accident. The VS Osprey that he fell out of there was likely just in support doing some training missions.
ISIL now reportedly in Kobani. How significant is this that they have actually made it in there and secured that town?
Well, there's probably a little bit of that up for discussion. They're definitely close. Those Kurds in that region have held out for almost 21 days now. Significant warriors they really are. The U.S. airstrikes have not been effective, has been reported. A lot of it has to do with there's no strategic targets for us to attack. The United States is not going to attack just on kind of willy-nilly with regard to the targets they see there. They're only targets of opportunity, so that's why you're not seeing more success with the airstrikes inside of Kobani.
I see. And what about in Anbar? We just heard a report from our reporter there on the ground in Erbil saying that so many civilians there, it's been hard for them to, the Allied forces, to get in there and weed them out.
Yeah, that's the issue right now. The air can do only so much, but you're going to have the Peshmerga forces on the ground to really not only hold that city, but then take it should they defeat ISIS inside of the city. The airstrikes can blunt any advancements of any people trying to help re-support them, but that's about it. That shows you the limitations of those airstrikes there.
The Pakistani Taliban now coming out saying they support ISIL. What do you take from this?
Well, Susan, that's all about getting the al-Nusra Front and other terrorist organizations that are inside of Syria to be on the same side as ISIL and to have them work together. If they decide to do that, there'll be a much better combat and much better effective force with regard to taking cities inside of Syria. The key for ISIL right now is to really gain control, full control of Aleppo, possibly then move on Damascus and really gain more ground inside of Syria.
Is that possible?
Yeah, that's their goal. The question is whether or not they move fast enough. The Syrian government actually has been doing much better because of the fact that the U.S. airstrikes has blunted some of ISIL's capability in the north. And it just gets down to how the fight is going to go. But whether al-Nusra Front works with ISIS really remains to be seen.
As you know, the parents of Peter Kasig, the American humanitarian aid worker who's being held by the Islamic State militants, released a video Saturday pleading for mercy. He's converted to Islam. He now goes by Abdul Rahman. Do you think this will have any bearing on his fate at all?
It's difficult to say, and likely it will not. It's just such an unfortunate situation. The question is when this next video gets released, when this happens again. It's outraged the veteran community in the United States, the entire civilian population in some ways. Perhaps it'll cause the president to act. Perhaps we have a rescue mission going. I think as time goes, we gain more intelligence of these situations. But it's a grotesque situation with regard to what's happening there, and likely something that I know the military wants to try to stop as soon as possible.
Major Mike Lyons, we appreciate your insight as always. Thank you so much for that.
Thanks for having me.